All right, what up, people? It's your boy Chig from Guna Eagle Eye, coming to you again with a brand new video and coming to you again with something a little bit different. I'm actually doing my first movie review on here. I've told you guys some of this before. You know, my part, and for anyone who doesn't know me, normally I'm a football reviewer, specifically an Arsenal reviewer, who will look into games, talk about everything Arsenal related, yada yada yada. What I've recently tried to do, very recently, is branch out a little bit because I have passions, believe it or not, outside of Arsenal Football Club. So you know, one of those passions is boxing. Like to box, like to watch boxing, and I like to talk about boxing. So that's something I've also done with my co-host Ola. And also MMA is an extension of that passion. Another passion of mine is movies. I'm one of the few people left who still buy DVDs. Have quite a few movies on my computer as well, and like most people, I also have a Netflix account. I'm a big movie guy. Whether it's when I'm in the gym, yes, believe it or not, people, I actually go to the gym. Whether it's when I'm at the gym or on the way to work or whatever, I like to just watch a film. It's just what I do. And yes, unsurprisingly to most, I'm a big movie guy, a movie comic guy as well. Ironically, even though I would, if I have to be one or the other, I suppose I'm a Marvel MCU fan in particular. But ironically, my favorite superhero is actually Batman. Always has been. Always has been. Yeah, I tell you all that just because I don't want you just thinking, what the fuck is Chig doing now? And you watch this. Gonna give this little movie thing a stab. My plan was to review Endgame. I wanted to do Infinity War last year, but I thought I'll pass and I'll do it for you guys this year. And I'll do Homecoming. Sorry, Homecoming 2. Sorry, Far From Home. Spider-Man Far From Home, which comes out later in the year. I think May it comes out. May or June. No, tell a lie, July. So obviously for some of my Patreon people, you'll be used to the reviews I put on there. I put a number of reviews about various different films. And one of the things I want to do is, because over the next month or so, I want to try and rewatch all 21 films in the lead up to Endgame. So as I'm watching them, I might as well review them. This being the 21st game, which is today, then that's Captain Marvel. 21st game, 21st movie. So I guess let me answer the question real quick. Was Captain Marvel that bad? No. No. I've heard people say it's the worst movie out of the Marvel franchise, Marvel MCU franchise. Do you remember Dark World? Come on. Come on. Captain Marvel weren't that bad. Listen, maybe I don't have that same anger towards Brie Larson because, you know, ultimately I'm a black guy, I'm not white. Maybe I should be 50% angry because I am a guy and she did insult guys. But, you know, I'm also just capable of just reviewing the film for what it was. And please, people, again, don't get it twisted. This was by far and away not a perfect film. It had problems. Like, it had some serious problems, which I'm going to go into. But I thought, all in all, it was reasonably good. I'd kind of plant it alongside Ant-Man 2. I wouldn't necessarily rush to rewatch it. But if it came on and it was on TV, I wouldn't be offended by the fact it was on. You know, I'll give a grade for the movie at the end of this review. But let's just go into kind of the positives of the movie. I actually thought, let's talk about Ben Mendelsohn. Now, spoiler alert for anyone. I do say spoiler alert in my title, so hopefully If you haven't seen the movie, I'm not going to just ruin this for you. But his character, he kind of played two characters. Well, he played one overall character, but he had to play another character in the movie. That other character in the movie was American, where he was imitating, he was essentially the Chief Skrull character. So if you know anything about Captain Marvel and what the story is about, essentially it's about, you've got two real stories here. You've got the story about Carol Danvers, who's trying to remember who she is. Carol Danvers is Captain Marvel. She was in a plane accident, and something happened to her, and she's trying to remember who she is. Meanwhile, there's this backstory as she's trying to piece everything together, that she's trying to protect the Earth from an invasion of Skrulls. And Ben Mendelsohn, who you may have seen in in Dark Knight Rises, showing you I'm a Batman guy. That's where I always remember him from. I know he's been in other things, but that's where I remember him from. And, you know, I didn't even realize until today he was Australian. And I only say that because he played this weird Australian accent. So I did say I was going to promise with the good things. I'll come back to the accent in a second, but I actually thought, as a whole, I thought his performance was really good. I really enjoyed it when he was on screen. I thought he brought a lot of energy. And I think it was one of maybe 3 or 4 people who I felt like, oh, okay, they're really giving their all into the movie. And he was one of them. I really enjoyed his performance. I thought it was brilliant. Accent aside, I thought it was brilliant. I thought the chemistry between Brie Larson and Samuel L. Jackson was very, very good. Clearly a very strong dynamic there, very strong. One of the times where it looked like Brie was genuinely enjoying herself was whenever she shared the screen with Samuel L. Jackson. And I really liked that dynamic. Trying to think. Goose the cat. I thought I was going to hate that cat. Kind of like the cat. Kind of like the cat. The cat turned out to be, again, spoiler alert, I can't say this enough. The cat turned out to be an alien, that basically just engulfed things. And it was so funny, actually, because of the way Ben Mendelsohn kind of foreshadowed this kind of reveal of the cat, because he was terrified of this cat initially. And the way he reacted from it was like, keep that fucking thing away from me. And you saw what the big deal was about this cat. This cat was a badass cat. All right, let's get into the bag, because I just remembered something with the cat. So, again, spoiler alert. I'm not going to say that again now. Nick Fury. So this was also a bit of a backstory for Nick Fury. That was actually one of the things I did like. You got to understand the character a little bit more. I actually thought the CGI, going back to the good, I actually thought the CGI was actually really, really good. The de-aging process that Marvel has seemed to master when it comes to, you know, they've done it in a lot of films now, from Ant-Man and the Wasp to Avengers Civil War. The de-aging process, I mean, they made Samuel L. Jackson feel and look 30 years younger. If you wanted to be really nitpicky, yes, there were a couple of scenes where you could really tell that. But all in all, I actually thought they did really well with that. Also, Phil Coulson was in this movie as well. More of a cameo rather than a feature for Phil Coulson. And yeah, they made him look really young as well. They kept Samuel L. Jackson kept referring him to rookie, so you really got to feel that, okay, this was like Phil Coulson's early work. And also, what I also liked actually was I liked Samuel L. Jackson's energy in the movie. I don't think I've really heard anyone talk about that yet. I actually thought he gave a lot of energy in the movie, and you can sometimes tell when Samuel L. Jackson phones it in a little bit, like just going through the motions a bit. He's just being Samuel L. Jackson, but I actually thought he looked like he was enjoying himself in this particular movie, which I think helped with the dynamic of Brie, because Brie's a very stoic. She has a very stoic style of acting, so you need someone energetic to almost bring some life to her sometimes, and I think that was what you saw going into this movie. Now, let's talk about the bad stuff. Brie Larson. Now, I must admit, I've seen people say that Brie Larson was very wooden in this movie. I would not go that far. She weren't that bad. We're talking about an Oscar-winning actor. The one thing I will say is sometimes Oscar-winning actors don't necessarily mean that they can fucking play superheroes. See George Clooney. It doesn't necessarily mean because you're a good actor, you're a good fit to be a superhero. I don't think she's necessarily a bad fit for this role. Could I have thought of a couple more women that may have been able to play this role instead of her? Sure. She's got the role now. It is what it is. Let's make do. I didn't think she was that bad, but she does have a very stoic style. There was no real personality. This was her movie, you know? And to be honest, this is going to sound really bad, I didn't find myself caring about the character so much when Samuel L. Jackson weren't there. And that was a problem because it felt like it slowed down a little bit. I thought her chemistry with Jude Law was initially there. Like, I felt the film generally started very, very strong. But then as the kind of movie went on and they were kind of forcing that's the other thing. I thought the dialogue was terrible. Whoever wrote the script, fire that person. The dialogue was terrible because it didn't allow Brie to be able to deliver the dialogue the way she should have. Now, I know that sounds like I'm being a Brie defender. Actually, you couldn't be more wrong. I don't particularly like Brie Larson as an actress. I can appreciate she's a good actress, but I don't find her charismatic enough to watch anything that she's in. Truth be told, I haven't liked anything that she's been in since 21 Jump Street. Do you guys even remember that she was in 21 Jump Street? I bet you don't even remember that. But yeah, to me, I just feel like she has such a stoic approach. And it became really ironic because they kept banging on during the film about how she was being emotional. And it was like, bruh, are we watching the same movie? Because you're telling me that she's being emotional and I'm watching someone stoic, not showing any emotion. So someone's missing something here. You know, just things like that where the script just didn't match what the fuck you're watching. It was just like, come on. There were little gadgets on her fucking wrist that was able to like program her suit. Like when she found out what, when she found out the truth of the film, she wanted to strip her colors back, as she put it, and change into her Captain Marvel suit. And she had this gadget on her wrist that you never really had any explanation as to what that thing is for, what it can do. There was no real explanation of stuff. Like Ben Mendelsohn, I'll go back to his character. Why the hell did he have an Australian accent? All right, he's Australian. Why did he have an Australian accent? I don't get that. What was the other thing? And I only say that because I know Ben Mendelsohn can do American accents like it's nothing. So I didn't understand that. Not to say that someone has to be American either, but it was just a noticeable choice, given the fact that everyone else had an American accent. It was, apart from Jude Law, who had an English accent, which I suppose when you look at it like that didn't make sense either. What other things kind of didn't make sense? Notice though, these are all things I'm able to overlook as well. Also, Ben Mendelsohn was playing Fury's boss. Like I said, he was playing two characters. One of them was Fury's boss. There was no real explanation as to what actually happened to Fury's real boss. Because, you know, surely he'd be tied up somewhere. Like, he was Fury's boss. This is someone who I assume is the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, there was not enough exposition about important stuff so that people like me wouldn't sit there and be like, hey? That's the only thing I would say that kind of let me down about this. The script was bad, man. I ain't gonna lie. It was bad. It felt like an unfinished script. I actually liked the core part of the story, but there was just not enough fleshing out and smoothing out of that story. And I think, for me, that was the main problem of this film. You know, I thought the film wasn't nearly as bad as people are banging on it. It just wasn't. Come at me, I don't give a fuck. It wasn't as bad as people were making out. Nevertheless, did it have its problems? Yeah, it did. Here's the thing, though. You know, people will say that. You know, one of the things that one of the little feedback I got from certain people that I used to speak to about this time last year about Black Panther is Black Panther got a lot of hate. You can speculate the reason as to why you feel that hate was there, but it got a lot of hate. To this day, I feel like it's my third favorite MCU film, behind Infinity War and behind Winter Soldier. Right? I think it's an A- movie, but it's almost like if you say that out loud, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. There was this problem, there was this problem, there was that problem. Don't let fucking outrage influence what the fuck you think about a film. And I think that's what a lot of reviewers are doing. Just be honest about the film. This film was fine. Did it have its problems? Sure. It had its problems. Is there a lot better MCU movies? Sure. Of course. Was this integral to the MCU to understanding Endgame? No. To be honest, you can bypass this movie, go into next month and watch Endgame and still enjoy it. You may wonder who the fuck Brie Larson is. That's the only thing that might baffle you. But aside from that, I don't think seeing this movie will be that important to seeing Endgame, because this movie was a prequel, if you like. It was set in the 90s. Oh, that's the other fucking thing that annoyed me. We get that it was set in the 90s. Did we need that many trashy 90s fucking music in the film? Oh, it felt like it was going on and on. And just go into a normal Avengers score. You don't need this constant bullshit. Oh, goodness. Oh, it reminded me of everything bad about the 90s. Just the music. Flipping heck. But nevertheless, all in all, I didn't think it was the worst movie. I did say to the boys, because I gave them a little fucking review, they must have thought, what the fuck is Chig writing now? In all honesty, I gave it initially a B-. As I break it down to you guys, I think that's a bit high. I'll be honest. I'll give it a C+. Like I say, I rate it alongside maybe Ant-Man and the Wasp. I thought it was good enough, enjoyable enough. Not at all the worst effort. It looks like it's made a lot of money, so there'll probably be some sort of sequel. I'm going to hope that Brie Larson just relaxes a little bit in Endgame, and as she starts to get used to the character, because she just seemed a little bit stiff and stoic, but not, I wouldn't go as far as to say wooden. This is an Oscar-winning girl who can act. I'm not a big fan of her personally, but I know that she can act. So I say let's give her a chance. Let's cut her some slack. And let's see what happens moving forward. I think it was a good movie, but it's not a terrible one. And anyone who tells you otherwise is just lying or hating. That's my opinion. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think. You guys know I don't normally do movie reviews, but I hope you've enjoyed it. Let me know if you have enjoyed it by leaving it in the comments below and hitting that like button. It lets me know if you enjoy these things. I know when I did this on Twitter and I asked you guys, would you prefer if I did boxing reviews or would you prefer if I did movie reviews? The movie reviews won flat out. So if you guys continue to like it, I might start to add it more and more onto the main channel. That does not mean I will stop doing it for the Patreon. I watch movies a lot, Patreon guys, so I'll keep doing it for the Patreon guys anyway. So yeah, let me know if you like this review. Crush that like button, hit the subscribe button. I'll be back tomorrow to go back to my normal job on here, which is reviewing probably an Arsenal loss. Gosh, I hope not. I hope not. But anyway, and that's pretty much it from me. So I'm out of here, people. Enjoy your Saturday night. Take care.